All right, so first up on the agenda, we have a public hearing for the City of Northampton's abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation, or an ANRAD. So Joe, I wonder if you or somebody as part of your team could just give us a quick overview of what's involved in the ANRAD.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah. I've asked Susanna to take the lead on that.
thanks, Joe. I'm Susanna Souza. I'm an environmental scientist with GZA. Here with Joe Rogers, also from GZA. We're here on behalf of the City of Northampton regarding an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for the Francis P. Ryan and West Whately Reservoir dams. As this is an ANRAD, no work is proposed under this application, so we're just seeking the confirmation of wetland boundaries. So I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Let me make sure that you can do that.
Thank you.
Right up. Okay, Susanna, you're now a co-host, so you can share screen.
Oh, thank you. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So on our original wetland delineation was on September 19th in 2023. And we reviewed and reconfirmed our wetland delineation this past July 7th. And the resource areas that we identified on the site included bank bordering vegetated wetland, or BVW, and the mean annual high water line associated with riverfront area. And we looked at many of these areas on Monday during our site walk. One update that we do have since then is that we would like to exclude the wetland flags and boundaries from the three properties down here owned by the Bellomares and the Congregational Church, as well as the southern bank of Westbrook. And I'll scroll down for a more zoomed in view. There we go. So in these areas here, and I sent Kelly earlier today a table with the flag numbers and linear lengths to be excluded from the ANRAD. So it's still the original plan that was submitted with our application, just with the flags in these areas removed and the lines replaced with an estimated line label, since we're no longer including them in the ANRAD. So everything's the same, just we're not seeking confirmation for these areas here and then along this southern bank. And that's just because down here, the riverfront area will project away from our area of interest. And over here, these are off of the City of Northampton's property. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
Susanna, you mentioned that you said those areas that you want to exclude from the ANRAD have been designated as estimated. Does that mean that you have another map that that sort of replaces the one that we received originally for this?
Yes, and I followed up. I did shoot that to Kelly in an email, but it was on the later end of today, maybe a few hours before the meeting. So this one that
I did see that right as
okay.
I went to log on today, so I'll forward that to everyone.
Okay. And if you would also mail a hard copy to us so that we can have that in the files as well.
Will do.
Questions? Anybody from the Conservation Commission have questions or comments about the I would just mention that we did do the site visit for this on Monday. And so we did walk the site and look at all of the different bordering vegetated wetland boundaries.
I have no questions.
I'm good.
No questions here.
Anne, are you okay with this?
Yep, I'm all set. Thank you.
Kelly, any comments or questions?
I think I've seen what I need to see. I'm all good.
All right, so then a slightly different question is, does anybody have any concerns or reservations about the delineations and the boundaries that were shown on the maps and that we saw in the field?
No concerns.
Nope, no concerns, no reservations. It's very thorough.
Looks good to me.
I'm all set. Thanks.
All right, then I'll entertain a vote that the Conservation Commission approves the
Can
the
I have-
ANRAD.
can I make
Yes.
a comment as a
Yep.
resident? Or is this the right time to make a comment or a
Yes,
question?
I should have acknowledged that too. Can you state your name, please, for the minutes?
Sure, it's Mariana Massid. I live at 141 Conway Road.
Okay,
So we're off the, near the West Brook. Now, I think, Susanna said that, some of the area was not being considered, and I saw pictures of the chapel and, the other residents of our neighbors. So I received notification that we should be, this should be of interest to us. So where do we stand now? 141
Yes.
Conway Road.
yeah, so I'll start, and then Susanna, you can add to or correct whatever I say. This is meant to just identify the boundaries of the wetlands and of the other areas that are within jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act. And what they've done is ask that we not make a judgment on certain areas that are close to the chapel and to the Bellamir's house, meaning that nothing is fixed in time, that if any work is proposed in those areas, they would have to come and get the delineations approved from us at some future time.
Okay.
Susanna, you want to add to that?
I don't think I have anything to add to that. I think you nailed it. Thank you.
Maybe I'll add one thing. Mariana, the reason the notice you received the notice is it's a requirement as an abutter within 100 feet of any of these areas that you be notified, so you have the opportunity to come and hear about the meeting tonight.
Okay. But it won't affect it won't affect my property, I guess, is what I couldn't understand why it would, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, if a project is proposed related to this area at all, you'll receive another notice with more information about exactly what's going on, and so that you could find out what that project is going to be. So this is the first step in that process.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Any other questions or comments from the public? All right, well then I will ask the commission to vote on to approve the resource area delineations as represented in the ANRAD with the changes that were discussed tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. We will put together the paperwork. Who should we send it to, Joe? Should we send it to you? Should we send it to you, David?
We'll take care of the recording, I think. Was that right, Susanna? I think probably be best if to send it to Susanna's been doing all the correspondence with Kelly, so it can go to her, and then we'll take care of it on our end.
Okay, very good. We will get that out as soon as we get all the signatures and we get it to the post office with all our certified materials, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for coming in.
Man.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you all.
I think that wraps it up for that. So to close the hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Our second public hearing is to discuss and review the notice of intent filed by Rye Patton on behalf of Flora and Richard Chamlin. Rye, would you like to take the floor and describe what it is that you're proposing to do?
Yes, thank you. My name is Rye Patton, with Bay State Forestry Service, and I'm proposing this project on property of Flora and Richard Chamlin's, to control a whole suite of invasive vegetation growing along approximately 3,050 feet of stream. The main stream channel is West Brook, along with a small unnamed tributary that runs to the north. And if I can share my screen, I'll get the map pulled up.
Okay, let me set you up as a co-host.
Okay.
Okay, I think you're all set.
All right. Let's see. Okay, can you all see this map?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So the areas in question, this section highlighted in gray with a purple outline is the areas along West Brook. And then this unnamed tributary, which runs along Haydenville Road to the north. Um, these these polygons are showing the 200-foot buffer on the Chamlin's property around these streams. And this doesn't necessarily indicate that there are invasive species present throughout all of these polygons. It's a very variable distribution of invasive plants. And I'm kind of requesting permission to cover all of this area if need be, but most of this area presently is not infested. The main areas of concern are essentially right along these different stream corridors. So the methods we're planning to use, because the distribution of the vegetation is variable, our methods are going to be variable. In particularly dense areas, we're planning to go in first with one pass with chainsaws to cut large vines and shrubs that are growing, either growing into trees, growing into native vegetation, ideally greater than 5 feet in height. We would then, once that pass with the chainsaws is done, we would then go through some of the heavier areas with backpack foliar herbicide, with a foliar herbicide spray applied via battery powered backpacks. On some of the lighter areas, we think that using herbicide and chainsaws are a little too much, so we're actually going to be working with Savannah Emery, who is in this group as well, who is actually going to be working through some of the lighter areas doing hand pulling along the stream. And maybe I can pass it over to Savannah if you just want to talk briefly about your methods and plans for the hand pulling portion of this project.
Our main goal is to try to regenerate some of the native plants that are growing there. A lot of it is a mix of knotweed, multiflora rose, and like Rye was saying, we determined in the largest, most dense patches, the herbicide treatment is going to be the most effective. And then to try to minimize that as much as we can, I'm going to be going in with hand pulling methods, which basically the first year, it's just about removing as much of the vegetation as possible to weaken the root systems while leaving as much of native plants in place and some of the root systems so the banks remain stabilized. And then it's basically a long-term management plan. And so then the second or third year, depending on the growth of the plants, we would go in and do some native plant stakes to restabilize the banks.
Great, thanks, Savannah. So yeah, like Savannah said, this is going to be anything dealing with invasive plants. This is a multi-year process, and we don't want to, do this big push and then pat ourselves on the back and say, good job, and walk away and forget about it. But I'm hoping to have a long-term relationship with Flora and Richard and the rest of their family to continue this project and make sure that our work pays off in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll just point out also that some of us went out and did a site visit on July 29th to look the area over. It was highly congested, so we didn't actually get very deep into it, but we got a sense of the proximity to the Westbrook. Conservation Commissioners, open it up to you first for any questions or comments.
We didn't look at the area on Haydenville Road.
Mhm.
Is
Correct.
that as bad as the area we looked at on Westbrook?
No, the area that we visited on Westbrook is by far the worst. I'm just going to share my screen again, pull up that map one more time, just to kind of show you. So this triangle here between the property boundaries and Westbrook to the north is where we were standing at the site visit, and that is by far the worst of it. The stuff along Haydenville Road is it will involve some cutting. There are bittersweet vines growing up in the trees. But it's going to be significantly less intense chainsaw work, and it will primarily be foliar spraying.
Thank you.
I have a question for Scott. Our what decisions that we make tonight, does that go for this year or for any future work if it happens in future years?
Yeah, an order of conditions that we issue is good for 3 years, and it can be extended for an additional year, I think two times. So potentially it could go for 5 years.
Okay, thanks.
I probably should have asked Flora, or Richard, do you want to say anything?
I think Rye pretty much has it covered. We've done quite a bit of work ourselves, mostly hand pulling. So we've done a lot on the other side of the stream and hope to do the full length of our frontage on our side of the stream, not the road side of the stream. So we'll be working, we have been working, and we will continue to do that.
Thank
We
you.
feel kind of old, and we're very worried about the embankment between the stream and Westbrook Road. And we have orthopedic problems, and we're very worried about potential of slipping and hurting ourselves. And actually, we feel the same way along Haydenville Road, so we're going to want help there as well.
I also should mention that the Conservation Commission does not have any jurisdiction over pesticides, but we do have jurisdiction over the removal of vegetation. So we don't have any say in what kind of pesticides are used as long as the work is done in compliance with the pesticide regulations issued by the Department of Agricultural Resources. So that's just to sort of clarify our jurisdiction. One of the regulations related to pesticide use is that it has to be applied by somebody who's a licensed pesticide applicator. And that's one way of ensuring to some degree that the regulations will be followed. George, I saw you had your hand.
Yeah, what's your plan for handling cuttings, especially of knotweed?
The knotweed, we actually aren't planning to cut at all. The knotweed we find is primarily best dealt with a foliar spray. Because that's sort of how the knotweed spreads, right? Is it, it falls apart and then the roots float downstream and are spread. So we find that it's best if you apply a foliar herbicide spray, the plant sort of dies sitting there and loses that ability to propagate once it does decompose and fall apart.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to go off of Scott's comment, everyone in our company who's going to be working on this, that they are licensed pesticide applicators.
Other questions or comments from the commission?
Right. I don't remember if you had addressed this in the NOI, but do you have a time of year in mind for when you're going to be applying the herbicide?
If we're hoping for September into early October. That is, yeah, ideally it would be during September. We find that you can treat knotweed effectively kind of going into the fall as long as it's still green. It can actually be a little bit more effective in the fall because the plant's actively sort of going dormant and bringing things down into its root system. So it can actually translocate the herbicide a little better that way. But yeah, so we're aiming for a September treatment. Let's see, September treatment of cutting and spraying.
Great.
And then in subsequent years, we would like to do it maybe a little bit earlier in the summer. We are kind of working up against the seasons here, unfortunately.
Any comments from the public or anybody else in the meeting? Or questions? Okay. A couple things to note. One is we did not get a file number from DEP, so we cannot issue an order of conditions until we get the file number. The file number letter will generally contain comments from DEP, and so if there are comments there or issues that we have not addressed at tonight's meeting, I will get back in touch with you. And if we can get those resolved, then we will issue the order of conditions once all of that is resolved. The other thing is that there are other regulations that I'm less familiar with, whereby any application of pesticides in bordering vegetated wetland or any water body has to get a separate license from DEP for that application. And an order of conditions is one of the requirements for getting the license. So you may want to contact them and make sure what the procedure is, so that once you get the order from us, you can proceed with acquiring that license in order to do the work. I think that's all I have. Anybody have any other comments or questions before we close the hearing?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
No,
I'm all
no
set.
more comments.
So just to also clarify that if DEP comes up with any major concerns that may require us to reopen the hearing in order to consider their concerns and any changes that might need to be made to address their concerns. Hopefully that won't happen and that our order will be issued relatively soon. So, does anybody on the commission have any reservations about approving this notice?
No, no.
No,
No,
All right. So, I'd like a vote to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. And does anybody have any particular conditions that you would like to affix to the order? Any special conditions?
Nope.
all set.
Okay, well then I will ask for a vote that the Conservation Commission issue an order of conditions that will permit the work without any special conditions. There's a boilerplate of conditions that are already in the form, so all of those will apply, but we will not apply any additional conditions beyond that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So that wraps it up for tonight. Hopefully, I will write to Mark Stinson and see if he can get me a number tomorrow or Friday so that we can issue the order. And as soon as we do that, we will send that out. Should I send that to you, Rye? Should I send it to Flora? Who should get the original copy of the order? I can circulate copies of it via email to anybody else who wants it.
You can send that to me.
Okay. All right. I think we're all set then. Thank you for coming in and thank you for your presentation.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Next up, David Powell. We're ready to discuss your request for determination of applicability to improve drainage on your driveway. I don't know if you have anything to share in terms of screen sharing, but I'd like to at least give you the floor to describe the situation and talk about what you're proposing to do.
Sure. Thank you. I have a somewhat crudely drawn site plan that I could share that might help.
Okay. All right. You are now a co-host.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes.
All right. Sorry?
Go ahead. I think just extraneous noise.
So yeah, my name is David Powell. I reside at 125 Haydenville Road in West Whately and been here for about 5 years. And unfortunately, we learned pretty quickly that the steepness of our driveway, which is not finished, as well as the hill that abuts the driveway, has led to a lot of water that runs over the driveway when it rains, coming down the hill. That has led to the driveway getting washed out fairly regularly. So what we were proposing is to install 3 pipes running across the width of the driveway. Can you see my mouse cursor?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so where these dotted lines are crossing the driveway, that's the rough location that we're trying to pull the water away from the driveway and send it downhill on the other side. You can see that we're having riprap installed at the outlets, and we already have some aggregate here lining this side. And I believe the plan is to dig up this side just a little bit more, put some more aggregate in there, but that's pretty much the extent that the plan is. Installing these 3 pipes to move the water away from avoiding it from running over the driveway, instead running underground.
All right. Thank you. Kelly, you had sent us some photographs. I wonder if you would be willing to share the photographs and sort of walk us through them. Perhaps you and Dave together can narrate what we're seeing on the photos.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second here. All right. gonna share my screen. Okay, so these may be a tad out of order, but this is a view kind of going up David's driveway. You can see the substrate making it up is sort of this gravel. And then if you can see my cursor, there's sort of a swale on the uphill side made out of the aggregate stone. And then to this side, downhill is where the brook is. And I don't know if you can sort of see here, was one of the stakes that marked where I think David wanted to put one of the pipes. And then down here you can see the water has eroded it pretty severely. And then I can trying to figure out how to switch to the next photo.
Over to the right-hand side, there's an arrow.
Yeah, I got it. The Zoom was covering it up. Okay. And then this is a downhill view of the driveway. You can see sort of the same kind of thing, how steep the driveway is. And you can see a little bit of this drop off toward the brook. That's a view of some of the stones that were on the brook side of the driveway. Another view towards the brook. Another view of the erosion and the swale. That's the brook itself. And then there's more of that stone. This is toward the base of the driveway, I think. And just a little bit closer up of a different view of the erosion. More erosion. And view towards the brook with some of that aggregate stone.
Great. Anything you'd like to add, David?
No, I think that about covers it.
So I was not present at the site visit, so would welcome any other members of the commission or Kelly to sort of just give us your opinion about what you think, what you think of this proposal, what concerns you about it, or whether you have any concerns at all.
So you are planning to pave this, right, with asphalt?
Yes, sorry, I wasn't trying to withhold that information. I just wasn't sure if it was really pertinent or not. But yes, part of the plan is to also pave this.
And do we know Kelly, do we know the distance from the driveway to the brook?
I didn't measure it. I think it varies. It's closer at the
Right.
base, obviously, where that I think there's a culvert down there. But
it seemed pretty close to the where the runoff.
It did seem pretty close. Yeah, because I took this from the base of the driveway.
We're certain, like Seth was thinking, Scott, if he does capture the runoff in a pipe, is the riprap enough on an outflow to capture any, debris and just make clean water flow into the stream? We weren't certain on that part, or I was uncertain.
I think that with situations like this, sometimes especially if it were a subdivision road or a shared driveway, we might look for something called a level lip spreader, where the water comes out and instead of just going into a V-shaped channel, there's actually sort of a constructed rock surface so that the water gets spread out as it leaves rather than concentrated in a way that could erode a channel down to the brook. I have not seen the site, so I don't know whether that's an appropriate or even a possible solution there, but that's one way of trying to, eliminate some of the velocity you might get on a real gully washer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, a point I had brought up is, did we want to have, as a special condition, have a silt fence put on that bank side where they're working, just to prevent erosion from going into the stream?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess one question that I would ask for those of you that have been on the site is, do you feel like this is something that could be permitted by the commission without a more detailed plan? You know, is this something that you think can be done with common sense and or is, you know, I mean, I know there's a lot of steep slopes here, so that's what I'm just checking to see whether you're comfortable with that.
I would
We're
be
familiar
more,
with,
I would be more comfortable if there was a plan just on how the water's gonna get from one side of the driveway to the other and then down the hill. How it's not going to flow real hard down the hill, if there's some way to stop it or slow it down, sorry. Um,
my
That
one
was,
worry is,
that was my only big concern was that we probably would want some detail on how that was gonna be handled.
I would like to say one worry, if this was a now impervious surface, how much of the velocity and flow, if it's supposed to be captured by these pipes, if it skips the pipes, how is that going to be handled? You know, if it, you know, it doesn't get all captured and it does cause more erosion somewhere, how that would be handled?
David, you're welcome to respond to any of these concerns.
Sure. I mean, going back one step, I guess, in order, the silt fence, was that something for during the construction, or is this a permanent request?
Just during the construction, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as reducing the velocity of the water, I believe that's the intent of the riprap, is the suggestion that that might not be enough to slow the velocity of the water.
Yeah, I'm just worried. Like I said, now it's having the loose stone, which, you know, you're going to have a paved surface. I'm just worried about it. If it does, you know, jump the aggregate, or if it's just the aggregate's full of debris, what happens? You know, what if, you know?
Oh, sorry. I was addressing the previous concern about the water ejecting on the far side
Oh,
and the
sorry.
velocity
Yeah,
of
two
that
different
water.
things. Yeah.
Is the riprap not, is that believed to not be sufficient to slow the velocity of the water?
I think the
I'm not
riprap
an
would,
engineer, but it's such a steep site.
Mhm.
I don't know. I would be worried that the riprap wouldn't stay where it was put.
Are there suggestions? Because I also, I mean, I'm not an engineer, and it is a steep site, so I'm not sure what we could really do, what we could put on that side to slow things down.
yeah, I haven't seen the site. I'm imagining it now from the pictures, but you know, if there was a way to excavate down and create a level surface where the riprap was on a level, and then the water was then released over this level area so that it could slow down and then also spread out before it flows down over the bank towards the stream. It's possible that there's not enough room for that. So that's why I say it sort of tentatively. But that's also one of the reasons why I asked the question, is whether this is something that should be done as a request for determination, or whether this is something that should be a notice of intent, where you get the assistance of an engineer to talk about what the inlet is going to be like, to try to address Andrew's question of how do you prevent a really strong rainstorm from just going right past the one inlet and then down to the next one. I guess in some ways it's no worse than what's happening now, which is essentially an unimpeded flow down that far side. But also then, you know, have some kind of a well-constructed outlet so that the water can be dispersed and the velocity treated before it gets to the steep part of the bank towards the stream.
I agree with you,
Uh,
Scott. I think it needs just a hair more, just more engineered plans, because the stream is just so close to the where we're going to be ejecting the water. I think we just do need some, maybe, I don't know if you need like detailed plans, but maybe just some advice, you know, to give you some help there. Maybe you can get some advice.
So the request is more detailed plans for specifically slowing down the water as it ejects, and how to handle the water overflowing some of the inlets.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically inlet design and outlet design to make sure that the water goes where it's supposed to go, and that when it comes out the far end of the pipe, that there's a way to ensure that the velocity isn't, and the water's not concentrated in such a way that's going to create an erosion gully as it goes down the hill. And what we could do is maybe something intermediate. Rather than require a notice of intent, we could just recommend that you come back to us at our next meeting with a more detailed plan and give you some time to consult with some other folks about and get some advice over how you would do those design inlets and outlets.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I also
that's a
just,
suggestion. It's one option.
yeah.
Go ahead, George.
I share the same concerns. I did go out and see the site with David on another evening. And I've seen it over the years as it's washed out many times, even before, long before David's been there, out into Haydenville Road, which is typically where the flow goes now. The driveway itself is pitched back towards the hill, uphill side a little bit. So it's not a perfectly flat driveway going down. So right now, I think the bulk of the flow is coming down the driveway and out into Haydenville Road. The pipes.
That's correct.
Yeah, the pipes are going to divert a lot of that flow, if they're successful, across the driveway and down a very steep hill to the brook. I don't see there being room on that steep side to establish any flat areas. I think it'd be very difficult to do. But I'd also like to see just more detail on the uphill side, how that depression below the swale is going to be modified to feed the pipes, and what the pipes are going to be exactly. I don't have a sense of what you envision, whether these are 6-inch pipes or 18-inch culverts or anything in between. So if we can get that kind of information too, so we know what's potentially coming through these things, and how we can kind of protect or armor the downhill side for the outflow, so that we're not creating gullies and washing that slope down into the brook there, which feeds that brook feeds into Westbrook through the very large culvert that we just got through a lot of hearings on with the Haydenville Road reconstruction project. So we don't want to be washing that hill down and into that new culvert that we just approved and then putting in down there as part of that project. So short answer is, yeah, I agree we need more detail on it. It doesn't necessarily have to go to a full NOI, I don't think. I think there is probably an intermediate step where you can get some more advice from the excavator or an engineer and get a little more detail to us. Just to protect it all, and so you're not stuck with installing something that's not going to do what you need to do, and is going to create another problem where you're resolving one.
Yeah, one other thought, given that it looks like there may not be a lot of room to do some kind of a armored outlet or a level lip spreader. The other strategy is one that's often recommended for forestry roads, which is get the water off the road as often as you can. So rather than 3 pipes, maybe you could do, a pipe every 50 feet along the road, so that there's not an accumulation of a large amount of water that has to cross at any one place. That's going to reduce the erosion on the other side, or the potential for erosion, if you can, just reduce the amount of water that each pipe has to handle.
Okay.
So I would just want to say that the Conservation Commission is sympathetic to what you're doing and supportive. It's not a good thing for you, and it's not a good thing for the water resources to have it flowing down your driveway and washing out your driveway on a regular basis. So we're very happy that you're going to address this. We just want to make sure that it doesn't create a problem that more directly affects the stream down gradient of your driveway. And if you could, get a little bit of advice from whoever you can find to talk to and come back to us with a little bit more detailed description of what you want to do, you taking into account the various input that you gotten from us tonight. None of us are experts, but we're just sort of throwing out some ideas and expressing our concerns. I think maybe it feels like the commission would feel more comfortable if we were to see a little bit more detail and then vote on the determination and avoid you having to file a full notice of intent along the way.
Sure, I'd be happy to try to get as much information. This is, these are good questions that I appreciate you bringing to me, and along with suggestions. I mean, my only concern is that, unfortunately, I'm not a contractor with deep pockets. So some of my concern is, like, I don't know how many pipes I can run down the driveway and still be able to afford this home. But that's not your concern. I guess it's just
Oh, we
there's
understand that
some
too.
practicality involved in, like, how much. But anyway,
Also, we don't want you to spend all this money trying to fix it and it doesn't work for you, So
yeah, I mean, we've already redone the thing twice since we moved in, and we're running out of budget. So anyway, I will gladly bring this back to Carl's, who has been working on this project, and discuss with them the concerns, and I can come back with more details.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, we're also trying to avoid you having the expense of going through the notice of intent process. So we recognize that you have financial constraints. So see what you can do. And, we meet on the third Wednesday of each month. So our next meeting would be September 17th. So we can get you on the agenda for that meeting, and we can revisit this at that time.
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right, David, thank you. Tom, let me just introduce that Tom wrote to me earlier today with a question. And I said, well, I didn't actually say it. I thought, good timing. We have a meeting tonight. Why don't you bring the question to the full Conservation Commission? And that way you can get a more definitive answer from us, or at least guidance from us about what to do. So, Tom, you have the floor to describe what you're thinking about.
Scott said, I'm Tom Litwin. My wife Maureen and I live at 141 Chestnut Plain Road. We've been here for about 35 years. The main access into our property, we're on the east side of Chestnut Plain Road. The main access is off of Chestnut Plain Road into our property by way of a asphalt driveway. There's a culvert that runs under a section of the driveway, an 18-inch culvert that runs under a section of the driveway. It's about 30 years old now, and it's time to be 40 years old now. And it's about time to be thinking about replacing it for health and safety reasons, and just to make sure we've got a good solid way into the property that holds up under conditions. So I'm here to find out what's involved, what we would do. It's 26, the pipe itself is 26 feet long, 18-inch diameter. We would take that out and plug another piece, same dimensions back in, but brand new and reinforced in its placement. So that's the proposal that we're working on. We wouldn't do any work until next year, maybe next dry season. So it's probably 8 months off.
Yeah, so I think most of you may know where Tom's property is, but it's just up gradient from the Whately Center Woods property that Kestrel has. And we had previously permitted the driveway crossing for that property. And the stream that runs through between the road and your yard there is a very small stream. It can't be more than a foot wide, is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would call, I don't know what to call it. It's part of the Chestnut Plain Road drainage system, built drainage system. So for 10 days and in a wet spring, it runs water through there, and sometimes in the fall. But I think it's giving it too much credit to call it a stream. But it's still nonetheless, the culvert gets a lot of wear and tear from trucks coming and going, and delivery trucks, fuel oil trucks, you name it, whatever you use to maintain your house with. And I want, for peace of mind, I want to make sure that it's in good shape.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. The definition of a stream in the regulations is a defined channel in the ground where water flows in response to a hydraulic gradient, and includes intermittent streams except for those portions that are up gradient of all wetlands or other water bodies. So the little bit of wetland vegetation in that swale probably makes that technically a stream under the Wetlands Protection Act. And generally there are, expectations about the kind of crossings that you can put on a stream. But the way we handled the Kestrel crossing is that, we deemed that there was no potential for aquatic organisms to want to get up gradient. And therefore the need to create a crossing that could meet the stream crossing standards didn't really apply in that situation. I would maintain that your situation is comparable to that, if not even more so. So I think it could be something as straightforward as just filing a notice of intent and just letting us know what size pipe you're going to put in, and confirm that you're going to do it during the dry season. It'll probably be a relatively simple thing for us to permit without anything onerous that would require you to put in a really large structure or do anything particularly unusual in terms of replacing it. Anyway, that was my feeling about it, but I thought it would be better to bring it before the entire commission to see whether there are other thoughts and opinions from the other board members.
Sure.
Could we do an RDA, Scott, instead of doing the full NOI, or I think the NOI would just cover more like if we had to write conditions and stuff?
That's a possibility. Yep.
What was the question?
Instead of trying to go through the whole NOI process, we could do a determination of applicability. How do you say it? How do you say it, Scott?
Yeah, there's two filings that people typically file with us. One is a full application for a permit, which is called a notice of intent. And generally, any work that's going to physically alter a resource area goes through that process. Then there's a more abbreviated process where you're basically saying, if this is what I want to do I really need a permit for this? And so it's a way for the commission to make a formal decision as to whether you do need to go through the full notice of intent process or whether you can, just describe what you want to do in enough detail that we feel secure that it's not going to create problems. And then we could have the potential to waive the requirement for you to file for a permit. So Andrew is just suggesting that maybe this is minor enough that we could do that more expedited approach. The big difference is there's a fee for a notice of intent. There's no fee for a request for determination. The notice of intent is a much longer form to fill out, and there's general expectation of more detail in the plans. The RDA can be done in a much more expedited way.
Seems like it's just like you said, Scott, simple, just replace one-on-one replacement of, he's put the same culvert, same spot, minimal disturbance. So that seems more ideal to me. I don't know.
I should add too that just to the upside of the creek, or whatever you want to call it, there's a telephone pole which feeds the power lines and the communication lines to the house, which go underneath the culvert and the streamlet. So there's a little industrial flavor to the spot also.
Yeah. So, Ann, George, Monty, You have any thoughts, Kelly?
I'm okay with what Andrew suggested.
With
Do
the RDA,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's just a replacement of the same thing that's there, same size and everything, I'm okay with that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I can live with that. Kelly, any thoughts?
I feel like I always would err on the safer side for things that have work in water, but obviously I would defer to what the rest of the commission would like to see. So if everyone thinks an RDA is okay, then that's fine with me.
I think we'll find that DEP feels the same way, and we'll have to convince Mark Stinson that this is okay. But we were able to do it with the Kestrel crossing by just bringing Mark out and saying, take a look at this, Mark. Where are the fish going to go? There's no place for them to go once they get across the road.
Isn't this spot pretty much right next to that spot?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in between our culvert and Kestrel's culvert, there's another culvert, a larger culvert that crosses under Chestnut Plain Road and dumps into the gorge, if you will, that's between the two properties. So
Right.
again, it'd be a rough neighborhood for a fish to live in.
Yeah, the Kestrel culvert is bigger than what Tom's culvert is because it deals with both of those tributaries, whereas Tom only deals with one and
Right.
the smaller of the two, I think, because that stream doesn't even go as far as the one on the other side of the road in terms of how far up gradient it goes before it peters out. Well, last time we went through this, and Mark Stinson works for DEP, and they always send us the file letters with comments about what they like or dislike about the project. And so when I talked to him and he was trying to say, well, they have to meet the stream crossing standards, they have to do this and that, I said, can we get you up here to take a look at it, Mark? And I think once he looked at it, he realized that would have been overkill. And so if we need to, we'll get him up here again. But it sounds like the commission is pretty comfortable with you submitting that RDA. And if you have questions about, I can send you the form. It's relatively simple to fill out. You can do hand-drawn sketch maps, or you can use a Google map or something like that to try to represent what the area is and what you intend to do.
Right.
And it doesn't require an engineering stamp or anything like that, an engineer's stamp.
And I should add, anybody who'd like to pull in the driveway, look, it's right there. It's right at the head of the driveway. And the dig safe markings are on the ground. I had them come. I needed them to find out about the cables cutting through the area and where they were. So I had them come in first to understand what we were dealing with in terms of power lines, unburied power lines. And that's already marked out by DigSafe.
Okay. I mean, once you file the RDA, we'll come out for a site visit. We'll schedule that with you just to take a formal look at it. And there's all kinds of timeline things. There's going to need to be you have to put an ad in the newspaper. We'll write the ad for you, but then you submit it to the Greenfield Recorder. Generally, the last I knew, they were running at a little over $100 for a legal ad. And then then we'll do a site visit, and then we'll make a decision at the next public meeting after that.
Good. Appreciate your help.
All right, Tom. Well, I'll send you the forms probably tomorrow morning, and that way you'll have them for whenever you feel like putting it together. And you can always come back to either me or Kelly if you have questions. By the way, Tom, this is Kelly Cowell. She's our conservation agent now. So we now share an agent with 4 other towns just so that we can get a little bit of expertise and a little bit of help with our work.
Kelly's going to be busy.
Oh, yes. You believe I am.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks very much.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, so one other piece of other business is this uh, right of first refusal. So there's a proper, I think I sent that out earlier this last week. Um, there's a big piece of property and just a very small piece of it is they want to transfer to the neighbor. Uh, there's apparently no intention to build on that other piece, but it's a relatively small piece. It doesn't have any particular natural resource value in terms of what's in the maps. And the question is, do we want to ask the town to exercise its right of first refusal to try to acquire it as conservation land, or are we comfortable with the select board signing off on that right? Go ahead, George.
I'm comfortable. We had actually done a site walk at the acquiring property when he was um, beginning to plan putting an extension on the
The
rear of the
deck,
house.
yeah.
Didn't have enough room, so he was buying making a deal with the Sandersons to acquire a little strip of land, so he had enough in back of the place for a legal setback. The extension and deck he's putting on.
Yeah.
So we've seen the property, and I've got no objection to that. It sounds like a
I agree.
I
Yeah,
agree
there's
as well.
there's no reason to try to acquire it. It's just such a simple land transfer.
Yeah, thanks for the extra detail, George. And yeah, that was my thinking as well. It seems like a pretty minor thing. So without objection, I'll report back to this town administrator that we have no interest in the town acquiring the property, that or no objection to them waiving the right of first refusal, and it'll kick it back into the select board's lap. All right, no objection, so we'll consider that settled. Any other business or any other news? George, you said you had an update from the battery storage bylaw task force there.
yeah. The general bylaw went to the select board for approval. It did not have to go through the planning board. They're holding it until the planning board works through what they need to do with the zoning bylaw. That had been kind of stalled for 3 months, I think. Judy and I attended the last planning board meeting and pushed a bit at that. Subsequently, Pete did send the both bylaws to town council for review. So I think that may move along more quickly now. There is a feeling of more urgency on the part of some of the other planning board members beyond the chair to get something in place that through town meeting and probably a special town meeting that will provide the town with some protection that we don't have right now. These battery storage systems are coming and need to be there, but we also need to be certain that the town's safe, that the aquifer is safe. Hadley is facing a situation right now where a developer wants to put in a big solar field in back of Home Depot. Field back there by Elaine Manor. I forget the name of that road. Comes down through there. At any rate, they have nothing in their solar bylaw that covers the battery storage system that the developer wants to put in associated with that. But the area is right on top of their aquifer. So then there's a lot of concern now, and they're having to go back and scramble a bit to figure out how they're going to handle that and protect the aquifer. That's one of the things we're trying to address in the work we had done with that committee, and so that's being pushed along now. And there's another planning board meeting, I think Thursday, that Judy Markland and I will both probably come into via Zoom. So.
Yeah, great. Thanks, George. Yep. Thanks for your participation on that committee. Sounds like really important work.
Yeah, it's been a good committee, and we've done a lot of research and looked at a lot of background and pulled in a lot of resources. The DOER now has a new division of clean energy siting and permitting, which has an executive director and 4 regional directors. The regional director out here is Allison Gage, who was with FRCOG and who we pulled in to a couple of our meetings to review what we were doing and give us her perspective and feedback. So when we're tied into that at the state level now too, and have someone who knows what we've been doing and looked at that, and they're supposed to be coming up with draft regulations in September. So we're hoping that our work with Allison in her previous job informs as far as we can what they do at the state level in regulation. So.
Great.
Okay.
Any other business? Any other news?
Nope.
All right. Well, this is a longer meeting than we're used to having, but it was a good meeting. Good participation. I will take 2 out of these 3 things and prepare the paperwork and drop them at the town offices tonight so that they're there tomorrow for signatures. Kelly, can you pick up the paperwork and then send it out to the applicants for me and just yeah, I guess that's all. I mean, I'm still trying to get used to having somebody to help with all of this work, but it was really particularly helpful while I was away. I want to thank you, Kelly, for really taking charge of some of this stuff and really putting a little more efficiency into the way we operate. And so thanks.
Yeah, of course, happy to help. If the last person who signs wouldn't mind just letting me know when you've got your signature in, and then I'll go grab it.
Oh, and just one other thing is I noticed there's still one set of open space packets, one open space packet, and this. So I assume one of you hasn't picked it up yet. So when you go to sign the paper, yeah, open meeting packet, not open space, right? Open meeting. So if you haven't picked yours up, please pick it up and sign the slip and put it in Amy LaValle's mailbox. That would be appreciated. All right. If there's nothing else, we can adjourn the meeting. And
2 things.
oh, okay.
One, do we need to approve the minutes?
Oh, yes, you're right. All right. What's the second thing?
The second thing is, Kelly, do you mind would you mind sharing your phone number so we can text you if we have signed, if I'm the last person to sign, or if you would rather not do that, I'll use email. It's fine.
Oh yeah, of course. If you look at the bottom of my email signature, the number that's there is my work cell phone. So if you text
great.
that, I'll
Thank
get it.
you. Okay.
I think it's on the website too for the Conservation Commission. Pete told me he was going to put Kelly's contact information there. So, and she's been getting a lot of calls
Yeah,
and
I think it must be
emails
there.
more so than I am nowadays. All right. So minutes. Anybody see anything that needs to be changed or corrected from the minutes, the draft minutes?
Nope.
No, they look fine.
Look good.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. I think we're finished. Good night, everybody, and thank you so much.
Okay, good night.